Okay, we're winging it today. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted, episode 9. I am Leslie Mota. I am here with Tammy. This was my special guest, so I posted earlier that I was very excited to see that special someone today, Tammy.
Yes.
And then today I have JT with
Texas Tech Web3 Acceleration Association, also known as TTUWA for short.
TTWA
I like that.
for sure. Yes, WA, WAA, from Texas Tech University. So I've been working with ESPN for a while, so I was very excited when I saw all of you all today.
Yeah.
But today we are at the University of Michigan for the Midwest Blockchain Conference. You know, earlier we did have some people come on and interview with David, but I am very, very excited. Tell me, how was your drive over here?
It wasn't bad. I mean, it took us like 2.5 hours to get here. We're from Notre Dame country, so it's
South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend, yeah. So I almost feel like an outsider here right now, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful here.
It's beautiful, yes. When I was driving up, Uber bringing me, I was looking at the scenery, the houses, everything. Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Everything's really beautiful. I mean, the house that I'm staying with like 10 other people from TTUWA, it's really amazing.
So did you guys get an Airbnb?
Yes.
Yeah. So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Pflugerville, Texas, which is 30 minutes north of Austin, and I'm in school. I'm obviously at Texas Tech University. I'm a senior right now, planning on graduating in May of 25, and I decided to come to Michigan along with Esvin and his crew because he invited me over. And I'm honestly having a blast right now.
It's packed, right? A lot of students from so many different universities. Okay, so how did you get into the blockchain? What piqued your interest? Like, how did you get started?
I got into the blockchain industry in 2020. That's when I first got exposure to it because of the NFT craze. And as I was looking into the NFT craze, it's just fascinating to me to see how many people are willing to like flip what is like a JPEG on the blockchain essentially for a lot of money at that time. And as I was doing like more research about crypto, I was more inclined about the financial aspect of it. I never took the time to research like the development and the protocol side of the tokens as well. And with what's been going on with this conference, I'm gaining a better understanding as to why these tokens exist. It's not just a token; it's an entirely big ecosystem as well.
Yeah. So earlier you were telling me a little bit about what you were building using also AI, and then you were telling Tammy a little bit about it. Do you want to tell the audience what you're building and why you came up with that idea?
Yes, sure thing. So what I'm currently developing is an application on Telegram that calculates crypto taxes based off of 4 US GAAP accounting standards for the cost basis: first in, first out, last in, first out, highest in, first out, and weighted average. And not only that, it also calculates the total tax that the user is going to pay, and it calculates the net proceeds as well. And as soon as it's done calculating like the itinerary script, it prints out 4 CSV files for the user's discretion, and 4 to 8, so to say, because it's going to either short term or long term. And the reason why I developed this is because I wanted to experiment more with generative AI to see if it could program an application and what it would take. And what I learned is that you need to have more like logical conversations with the AI application you're using in order to get the response that you need. And so far, it's a minimally viable product right now because it only does CSV files. And I'm pulling up the bot right now to see, and as you can see, and if you could see, it does crypto tax analysis, cryptocurrency gains and losses, and you're uploading a Coinbase CSV file in order to do it. So it's minimally viable because it shows what it can do, and the reason why that I decided to develop it is because Telegram has over 1 billion users, and a lot of people within Web3 are putting their projects on Telegram as bots because of the free token
Mhm.
ID as well. And the entire concept behind this is decentralized finance, and like people in control of their own finances, no need for a middleman. And with this bot in particular, there's no internal storage. So once you wipe your data history with this bot, there's going to be no collection of this like forever. It's like a private key. Once you delete it, you delete all information to access it. So
So the hackers then, obviously, if there is some sort of hacking that goes on, that's a feature that would be helpful to have because it deletes it completely,
yeah,
correct?
correct.
Okay.
There's no sense of like web scraping, like what we're seeing with like these softwares on Web 2. It can be prone to web scraping because you can have like, let's say there's a really smart web scraper out there, they could access the database and scrape
Mhm.
from that area as well. So with Telegram's encryption, there's no way that somebody could hack something this secure.
Mhm.
And so your information is private, it's safely secured, and not only that, there's no internal storage. So once you delete the history and get the CSV files needed, it's like it's not going to be retained
Mhm.
within either a program or within the bot itself. There's no internal storage. Once it's deleted, it's deleted.
gone forever.
Yep.
So how can people access this? Do they just go to Telegram? What do they type in? How would you download it?
I'm currently still developing it
Okay.
because I'm in need of like as much insight as possible, but
So it's not out for the public to use right now. It's
It's-
still in development.
it's still in development because even though the application is complete, I need to have as much feedback as possible to see what I could improve upon because I'm an IT major. I'm not an accounting major by trade. So that's
Do you have beta testers right now that are giving you that feedback? Anybody testing?
not right now, but I'm in contact with an accountant in San Diego. I plan on touching base with them again next week because I honestly wanted to touch base with them like today, but since this conference is going on and I'm trying to expand my network, it has thrown a wrench into the plans of what I need.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So now tell us a little bit about the organization WAA that you guys are building at Texas Tech University. How did you come about getting in contact with Evan? Were you guys friends? And then, why you guys decided to build that?
So for this bot, this is a personal project.
Mhm.
Nobody was giving me like inputs. It was just a pure curiosity thing.
Yeah.
And with TTU Law, it was an organization established, I think, last spring. And I remember somebody that I knew from an accounting class that was talking to me about this organization, giving me a T-shirt saying, "Hey, come check out this org." I honestly wanted to delve deep into what they were doing, but my schedule didn't align with the events that they were having. So I was early on the sideline that spring semester, and this fall my schedule aligned perfectly, and I was able to go to the majority of the events. And I was learning more about the DeFi protocols, how to set up a wallet, and really getting surrounded with a good group of people to talk about cryptocurrency and decentralized applications and protocols.
Now, one thing you had said, you were really working with AI
Mhm.
and kind of integrating that. Have you found, because I remember back when AI was kind of really ramping up,
Yeah.
how difficult it was to find any information on crypto, and you would get stopped and it would say, we don't have any data before such and such a date. So it wouldn't give you anything current. So have you come up with any issues or have you run against that? with AI and with what you're doing?
So with this specific application, it's more of like programming based.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't delved deep into the cryptocurrency aspect about price predictions, that type of thing, because it was more of like programming, like, all right, how'd you clean databases in my, and with each conversation that I had with Claude AI or Chat GPT, I was doing more of it was more of a logical conversation process
Mm-hmm.
to develop the functions needed to clean the data and calculate what was necessary for
Okay.
the data analysis and report.
Got it.
That is so awesome. JT, I know that you were pressed on time or whatever because you're going to go tour
Yes.
around. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about your experience today, what you've seen, and people that you've met, and how awesome this conference is thus far?
Yes, so this conference was eye-opening to me because it's an event by college students for college students, and this conference in particular has given me much insight about what people are doing within the crypto space as well as Web3 and how they're developing applications to help move from Web2 to Web3 and give people that sense of that decentralized aspect and giving more people more ownership of their data in a sense. And
Yeah.
and I would like to say that this is just a brand new field and there's a lot of opportunity available. And since I'm graduating in May of 2025, I'm trying to make the most of this conference, networking with as many people as I possibly can, so that the I have a good foundation of mentorship as well as leads into like postgraduate professions, because I'm talking with somebody on LinkedIn about AI because they're doing some because it's an accounting firm doing consulting that does a consulting as well.
Yeah.
And since it's such a new field, it's like I'm pretty sure a lot of people are willing to reach out and say, "Hey, do you know anything about AI and how it can be implemented?"
Love that.
Awesome.
You have any more questions, Tam?
No, I was just interested in the AI part too.
Yeah.
So
My throat's a little bit dry because I need to grab like more water.
More water, yeah. Because we've been talking all day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's packed. I know that I overheard earlier they were not expecting
it's
this
busy.
many students,
Yeah.
especially from a lot of universities. They were expecting 300 plus students, but I think they have over 800 or so. They even ran out of badges. So if you go through the corridors, all the floors, it's just packed with a lot of awesome students building on this platform and then or getting themselves educated on what other students are building. So it's
Right.
very exciting to be here today.
Mhm.
Me as an adult and being old enough to be some of your guys' mama.
I am too.
Very exciting to see
Yeah.
what you bright minds are building. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, JT, for swinging by, stopping and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much for letting me literally crush into your live stream and literally give off what I'm doing with AI.
No,
and Web3.
definitely let's keep in touch because I want to continue to follow your journey.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JT, and I'll see you around.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I keep Are you on the Discord?
I am on the Discord. I should be in the web on Telegram with your guys' Web3 or chat WhatsApp. I should be in one of those, but I can give you my Telegram.
I think wait, let's see.
I have Esvin's contact too.
I think just contact Esmond.
Okay, and then I'll tell him to give you my contact details, or
Yeah.
it's just Leslie Mota
Leslie Mota.
on Telegram. Wait, I said it loud. People don't stalk me on Telegram.
Sorry,
We've been
about
doxxed
that.
for a minute.
Yes. Should be all together. And double T. MOTTA.
Yeah, do not follow
That
her.
one. And then I'll follow you back. And that, people, is how you make connections.
That's right.
Yes.
Right? JT, once again, thank you so much.
Thank
was
you.
such a pleasure.
Just,
So good to meet you.
thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you. Alrighty, now let's get to the nitty gritty of everything and what's going on because today it's an episode of Unscripted, so everything goes. We have no script and we follow no guidelines, nothing, right,
We
Tammy?
like that. No.
We just go with the flow. So Tammy, let's start with the beginning of the week. Let's start with Tuesday. Okay.
Yes.
So Monday,
The best
it's like the last week and the past few days, I think everybody has run wild, right?
It's a blur. Yes.
And it's like I know that my posts typically are a lot of positive, and then from one day to another, it's like I was going crazy posting a lot of political.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I was posting about something that I believed in, and one of the things about women rights and people talking about, well, they're taking away our women's rights, and I'm like, wait, no, we really have to educate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any incline of where you thought this election may go? I mean, at one point, did you even think that maybe Kamala would have taken it?
Part of it, I think you get sucked in to the drama that you see,
Mhm.
and you kind of get on the wrong side, I feel, of Twitter sometimes, and even listening to the media and what's been said. With the women's rights, I felt like what I was doing was fact checking a lot of people,
Yeah.
and I guess, like, just with your statement earlier, with us being old enough to be some of these people's mamas out here, I think we've lived. So we've been through many an election, and as far as women's rights, nothing was taken away. So I just don't like the misinformation that's out there because it's detrimental and it's not factual. So no one has told us what we can do with our bodies. Nobody has lost anything. It's just been pushed down to the states, and I think that misinformation was very frustrating. And then to hear the media after the fact, The View, let's just come right out with it, saying that it was white uneducated women that voted for Trump. No, that's not the case. And why can't it just be women that voted for him?
Right, period.
Mm-hmm.
Women, period. It
Women.
doesn't have to be a color. So do you think people were uneducated in regards to that topic? I know that some of my friends, once we spoke about it and we did more research, we did research together, and then it's like some of them learned that the Supreme had awarded that decision to the states, right?
Correct.
Which technically that means that the president can't come and overturn that.
Correct.
So the mentality or the sentiment was, okay, so if that was the case, then why was the person that was running for president spinning a narrative like they were going to be able to take action, and then that this other person was going to do X, Y, and Z when if that was not the case?
Right, just like Kamala couldn't get in there and overturn it. There was nothing that she could do on it either. So it was pushed off to the states, and there was no, and I felt like I needed to fact check people on that too. There was no Trump abortion ban. That it's no such thing. And me being technically a Republican, I am pro-choice.
Yeah.
So it's not that I follow every single thing that the Republican Party believes in. I don't believe that you should be able to have an abortion so far into your pregnancy. Like, that is a real thing.
Just
I did
because,
research that up to the 9 months. I mean, that to me is crazy.
So people do actually have, well, I mean, I guess I need to do research. To me, it's like once the body is developed, the heart is beating,
Mhm.
the baby has arms, limbs, bones, and then you decide to be like, you know what, I don't want to have it. I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think, or when you just feel the baby kick inside of you.
Mhm.
I have 3 kids, so it's like I understand the feeling of it, and it's like me being pregnant. I think they start kicking out 4 months. I don't even remember, guys. So don't.
I never
even,
had babies, so I can't say.
I don't remember. So
Yeah.
don't persecute me for this. But You know, it's, to me, if I felt the baby and it feels like a little butterfly inside your stomach, and then you want to go get rid of it after that, I'm like, I don't comprehend that.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on your situations and your circumstance, then maybe give the baby up for adoption, because there's a lot of parents out there that cannot have kids.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of moms, and they would love to have a child and raise a child that needs a home. You know,
Right.
why not give the baby away, right?
If it gives a child an opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, so now what do you think of all of the backlash after Trump? You know, I didn't post the day after. I was just trying to, because a lot of friends, you know, they changed their profile to black. They were in mourning, you know, they were crying, and some people were really, really going through it really hard.
They
But
were.
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know if it's, to me, it is more the TDS, the
Yeah.
Trump derangement syndrome. That's just my take on it. You know, we obviously didn't vote for Biden when he ran against Trump. And, you know, we had to go through it too when it happened and he didn't win. And, you know, would I have been one of those people on January 6th? No.
Yeah.
And I didn't agree with what happened with that. But I think we just get very, they want to lump us all in together that, you know, we all have the issue. And we're not all the same. So you can't put us all in a box and just assume that, you know, we would go do something like that just because we support somebody. I respect, and I don't know how many times I posted this on my Twitter, I respect everyone's right to vote for whoever they choose. And I would never unfollow someone because they decided to vote for Kamala over Trump. But I feel that it's such a double standard with some of the others that they would do that. It's frustrating. It's like it doesn't change who you are.
No, it doesn't. I think if we respect the reasoning that they had behind voting for,
Sure.
you know, Kamala, then they should respect why we voted for Trump. You know, it's like, for me, I understood the women's rights. I understood a lot of what was currently happening with the current administration. And I think a lot of my friends and some people didn't even know, you know, the changes to Title IX that went into effect August, just recently, and they're not doing their researches and what that constitutes and entails for our women. So if we truly are protecting women's rights, our bodies, our choice, it's like, why are they pushing certain things onto the females? So once I brought that to light, they're like, wait, what? And then I had those conversations even after the voting. You know, it's like, especially the ones that were really going through it. And I'm like, okay, help me understand why you're really going through it.
Right.
And then once they started explaining why they're going through it, and then I was explaining certain things, they're like, I did not know that. And I'm like, you know, the internet is right there. Research, research, research. And then some of their responses were like, well, I don't know what to research. So then I am thinking, did we not put out the information enough prior to, you know, it's like, as a media company, or, you know, as people that are constantly on the internet, I'm like, did we not get the message enough? And I was telling my sister, when I was doing the interview live by the border on Tuesday,
Yes, that was great.
I was like, I told my sister, some people are not even on the internet. You know, some people
It's
don't
true.
even have social media, but we're not on the streets advocating for what we believe, or really talking to people and making them aware of, you know,
Right.
what was happening. Because once I spoke to certain people off camera that were going for Harris or voted for Harris, and then, you know, I was just giving them some knowledge and insight, they were like, oh my gosh, we didn't know that. Some people were just voting for Harris because Trump is ugly.
I know. Oh, yeah, somebody did say that. I was just like, because you translated
Yeah.
for them and you're like, oh, they said it because he's ugly.
I'm like,
oh my
make
gosh.
that make sense.
I know, but they do. I think they get to that point where it's anyone but Trump.
Yeah.
So they just can't bring themselves to vote for him. And, you know, I had this conversation on the live that we had that, you know, my mom and I, we would get in very heated discussions about it. And my mom is my best friend. And it was sad during that time when he was running against Biden. And she's done a complete 180, and she voted for Trump this go round. But I think it was showing her, the things that are clipped in special ways so that you don't see the full context. But you're right. When you're out like you were on the border talking to people, you're right. Not everybody does get on X. Not everybody has access to those things. So I think we just have to hit all aspects of it, because we get in our bubble on X and think everybody's hearing it, and they don't.
No.
There are people that don't even go on that app. So
they're like, what is X?
I still say Twitter. It's so hard to say.
They're
X.
like, what is X? And I'm like, Twitter. And they're like, oh. And then in Spanish, some of them would be like the app of the bird, which is la aplicación del pájaro. And I'm like, yeah, the birdie.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So that was funny. Speaking about the border, there was, I just interviewed some gentlemen right before you all came in, and they are actually building this application. I really don't want to say the wrong thing just because I need to do my research, but basically is how they are bringing decentralized Wi-Fi to people or countries or, areas that is not available. So it's kind of similar to like a router, and, you can actually, it's like you pay a monthly fee or something, but then you can make that money back. And then you can also be like your own internet provider. So if you get like a Starlink thing and then you connect the blockchain router, and they're like, we'll teach you how to do it. And I thought that was such a great blockchain use case for the border. Do you remember Tuesday when, I don't know if this was on camera or off camera because everything is a blur, but when the sheriff was speaking, and then the guy that was running for council, I'm not sure if he said it on camera, where it's like certain areas of the border or where the sheriffs may go, there's no internet service. So that is kind of like a safety concern to them.
I can see why.
So he was like, if I am voted sheriff, then I will buy a Starlink. That way I can provide internet service. But with that being said, you still have to buy a service to have that connected, which is like $99 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So these gentlemen that I was interviewing were talking like, we're coming in right there.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to provide you this service. This is what you're going to pay, etc. And then you can make that money back. They have a token. And then you can be the service provider like AT&T or T-Mobile or whatever, and you can be that middleman and provide those services, and then you can charge what you want to.
So he's like the middleman of that. Okay.
And then it's like, if you buy your Starlink and then they set that up because it's on the blockchain, whatnot, now you can go around in your vehicle providing internet service to those little areas. And I'm like, that's how we bring blockchain to the border.
Yes.
Because I was really like, cool. How do we bring it? Like, how can we incorporate that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, very interesting. So I got to do a lot more research on that.
That is really neat, though, to think about it. And what's even great about that, too? Elon is so into crypto, and it's what a cool thing. I mean, even if they were able to get with him somehow on something like that.
It's like, okay, Elon, how do we bring awareness to you that the sheriffs and the border patrol at the border need Starlink, they need internet service, they need Wi-Fi, because it is, a safety concern. It's like, if the sheriff was telling me there's certain areas that they go up and down the mountains and they don't have radio service, Wi-Fi or nothing, and they can't get in contact. So can you imagine all the people that are being smuggled, the smugglers, narcotics or whatnot, and
I can't even.
The police is by themselves.
Wow.
Something happens.
There's no access.
Yeah.
That's
Especially
scary.
the females too. Can you imagine? Oh, there's no way, shape, or form I'm getting off. I'm gonna let you run by.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't about to get murdered or killed.
No. And I mean, you're like right there.
Yeah.
So you would see all of that and the connections that you've made. I can't wait for you,
to take me by the border.
Yes.
Off camera, the guys were telling me there's also an area, I don't remember what they called it, but the mountains in Mexico are higher. So the elevation in Mexico is higher than the small town Nogales. So every time it rains, like the water and everything falls down into the town of Nogales, and he's like, sometimes there's even dead bodies and stuff that they find, and he's like, well, we're gonna take you if you really want to go, but you have to bring a gas mask because the fumes and everything is so toxic that it's just like, yeah, I want to go to.
And those are things that we would never know and to have access to,
Yep.
because I think that maybe things will change now, going forward over these next 4 years. I'm looking forward to that, but maybe we will be able to see things more that were
Not
blocked
prone to, yeah.
from us.
And
seeing.
there's so many tunnels. There's also, I know certain houses where tunnels. And I was tempted the other day to go knock at that house to see if the tunnel is still there or if they'll let me go in the tunnel. But of course, me, as a female wanting to do things alone, you really can't, because if you're going to be going through a tunnel from the United States to Mexico,
I don't want you doing that.
Yeah.
No.
So now that I did meet, the sheriff and other connections that are willing to take me through the border and tunnels, I'm like, okay, you know what? Might as well do it with somebody that.
Yes, as long as you're somebody official, I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not
as long
by
as you're
myself.
safe. Yeah, not by yourself. We don't want you going there by yourself.
No.
For
Okay,
sure.
Tammy. So we do have Tammy here with us today, and we have Dave, a special somebody behind the scenes that's sitting on the corner over there. You guys can't see it, so
My sweet Dave is keeping track of Bitcoin over here.
Yes, he's showing us excited. Love that. Okay, so you arrived here about an hour ago.
Yeah,
right?
well, even a little bit longer, but it's so big here. Like, I'm not used to. We've never been to this campus before. But yeah, it took us a little time to find a parking spot, and then this is like pretty spread out. So
Yep.
if anybody's coming to this, up on the 6th floor is where they have the main stage, where there were talks going on, things like that. So I did get to meet some people up there that I know that I've seen and interacted with, probably on Twitter.
Come in here, and then we are at in the basement, and in
Yes.
the basement we have there's a media sign, and people typically I think are waiting to come in and interview. I don't know how many people I passed by earlier when I was up there, and I was like, hey, we're going to be down there if you guys want to come and do an interview. We're going to come down here. So there's like a group of people. I'm tempted to ask, do you guys want to come on the live?
Yeah, you can if you want to.
You know what? Hold on, party people.
Hold up.
Hold
We're gonna
on,
check.
lives. I'm going to check to see who wants to come on.
DJ Dave, I see him all the time on the...
DJ Dave?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. We're conducting a live. Does anybody are you guys still...
Leslie's checking with people right now to see if we can get some more on the show to be interviewed, but I don't know. People might have a little bit of stage fright. I think they're wanting to talk about projects, so we don't know if they're wanting to shill, but we'll find out. She's working her hardest right now to get them in here, but they're all very shy.
We're doing the live on our No, you don't have to do anything. It's
For the 100,000 people, when do you walk in? Dude, I ball the last time. I have a genuine excuse. Logan, you're the president of the world.
Yeah.
I'm in on.
What's your name?
Daniel Easter.
Yay! Somebody.
No, you're welcome.
Somebody wants to be on our live.
Thank you.
How are you? I'm Tammy. Nice to meet you.
Daniel Easter.
Hi, I'm Leslie. No, you guys can sit right there. You guys.
Okay, yeah,
I don't
I
have
can
to be on
switch.
camera. I'm Leslie. Pleasure to meet you. What's your name?
Daniel Easter.
Daniel. Okay, Daniel and Tammy are going to be on camera. I'm going to be on the side asking
Well,
questions.
you can scooch in.
You guys-
You can be in.
No, I don't need the spotlight. I'd rather not.
Should I be in the middle?
Yes.
Of course,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
not?
yeah. No, you're good in the mirror. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here.
My name is Daniel Easterly. I'm the CEO and founder of We Can Be, which is a nonprofit and a Web3 company, real estate technology company called 40 Acres.
Really?
Wow.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that.
The We're technically a social enterprise, right? So the nonprofit educates people on blockchain technology and how to use it in real world applicable ways, as well as 3D printing, AR, VR technology, right? All of these different aspects that we understand kind of merge at the top, okay? And then our for profit, which is 40 Acres, we're a company that basically turns real estate into stock, right? And allows people in the community to own a piece of their community and real world assets, right? So
That is so interesting. Okay, so where did you come up with that idea or that model and why?
um, we came up with the idea almost 10 years ago, and it's been a up and down road, right? As you know, with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology being adopted. But it started from, well, I wrote a book called A New Nation Inside of a Nation,
Mhm.
to where the focus is on cybersecurity, all of these different technologies and how they connect us globally, right? And we believe, right, that with the process we're building, that we're searching for the most impact, right, and how to do that with the technology that's presented to us. And we believe that. Blockchain technology will give us the ability with our application as well as the processes that we've built to the ability to make the most impact, right? And it's a concept called social finance, right, that builds into blockchain technology, and that's what we've been focused on.
So what drove you to add that to the blockchain versus, creating something off the blockchain, when it comes to the real estate and having people own a piece of it? Is it because it's decentralized? It would be a lot easier.
It's a combination of things, right? Because a lot of people hear cryptocurrency and don't understand that cryptocurrency is a byproduct of blockchain technology, where you have smart contracts, tokenization, fractionalization that all play into blockchain technology. So the reason that we went that way, right, is to build that additional trust with the community, right? Give people the ability to have voting rights through DAOs, right? And those community aspects play into real world assets, right, which is another byproduct of blockchain technology. And by combining those things, you have the perfect mixture, right, of potential to not only educate the community, but make impact with any application that focuses on positioning this technology outward facing, right? If that makes sense.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you questions just to pick your brain from somebody that might not know anything about the blockchain and they're trying to understand and comprehend, when you're mixing real estate with blockchain. The traditional way is real estate when you're trying to purchase real estate, you go through number of steps, and et cetera. So how are you incorporating that on the blockchain and how can somebody own a piece of that real estate? How does that work?
So we actually are partnering with the city of Detroit, my company specifically, in order to kind of get this message out there. So in order to kind of make it simple for people, is you literally, if you know stock investing, right, you know how to invest into what we have going on. I think in the future we're talking about blockchain technology, but eventually we won't even say it the same way that we're talking about it now. Just like back in the day when the internet first came about, this is Web3, of course, right? But the internet first came about, people thought it was a scam. People were like, okay, what are you doing here? What's going on there? And that's the same process that's happening right now. Is that people there's such a learning curve, right? To where we have to educate people, but also put people in a position where they can use this technology in a real world applicable way. So um, I think I believe that's kind of what it is. I believe.
And I think people are scared of what they don't know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it intimidates them. So that's amazing.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and you don't want to intimidate anybody, but we also have to demystify where we're at right now. And the city of Detroit, and I had the opportunity to talk to Mike Dugan, right, his team, and they went ahead and made cryptocurrency acceptable, right. And Detroit will be one of the largest crypto markets in the country in the next about 6 months. Right, so they're adopting that in terms of real estate based on a conversation that we've had, and I think that is forward thinking that we need, right? And by being one of the first cities to do this, we give the people the ability to get involved in building it, right?
Yeah.
And that's never been done before. We have a whole event right now that we're at, and all of these people are looking for a way to utilize this technology where people are accepting it more. And I think that is the way to do it.
I love that. So how did you hear about this conference?
The blockchain community in Detroit. So I've been having speaking engagements about my company, tokenization, social finance, all of these different components that play into what we do. And the blockchain community has kind of embraced my company in a way that allowed us to come here, partner with people like Demo, right? And we're at New Labs. Our company's at New Labs, so we are really close to those guys in a sense of community, right? And then coming out and getting invited through that team, and we're here just networking and attempting to find new people who want to get involved, right? So it's
I was
Have you been to others?
sorry.
Go ahead, Tammy.
I was just gonna say I'm excited to have it in the Midwest because we're
Right.
from the Midwest as well. So, and you just don't hear about it as much. And when I was doing research, because we're closer to Chicago than we are here, but it's pretty prominent in Chicago as well. And I didn't realize that. I'm like, wow. Like you always hear about it in New York, out in California,
Mhm.
but to have it here in our area, just I don't know, it just makes it more real for us because we almost felt like an outsider with it. But what's going on in Detroit? That sounds great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it gives me hope that, they'll be the first and maybe it'll spread out to the other areas. That's awesome.
Right, and Detroit is known to be the first for a lot of things. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think with us making the decision to be the leaders in this, it's going to put Detroit in a whole different light in the next
Awesome.
5 years. And I think that's why I came back to the city myself, is because I grew up here. Grew up in Detroit and then left, played football, done a lot of other things. I've been in financial technology with Intuit. I've been in cybersecurity with McAfee and Fortinet, right? So a lot of my experiences make up why I'm in this community too, right? Is because I understand it from a very unique perspective. I've been a real estate agent for almost 10 years now, right? All of these things play into why I'm doing what I'm doing. And by connecting with people in this community, it's not only going to help Detroit, right?
Right.
It's going to be something that potentially helps the entire world, because cryptocurrency, blockchain technology isn't just a local thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing that gives you global access, global trust, right? And if we do it the right way, it will be advantageous for everybody.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure to have you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell the audience where they can find you, where they can reach you?
And also your book.
Yeah, your book, your company's website, everything.
So my book is called A New Nation Inside of a Nation in the Age of Technology and the Black Dollar. It just talks about how technology connects everything that we do. And I wrote it almost 10 years ago. I started writing it almost 10 years ago and released it here in the last 3 years. And it kind of was futuristic in terms of how I kind of predicted what was going to happen. It was kind of crazy, right? But it can be found anywhere books are sold. But you can find us. My brother Zachary's here too. He's the CFO of my company. But you can find us on Instagram at We Can Be with 2 N's. We Can Be on Instagram, or 40 Acres app on Instagram, and then our websites are the same. So wecanbe.com or 40acresapp.com, and you can get involved, come to our learnings. We have Learn to Earn events every week on Thursdays where we teach people how to use these technologies in real world applicable ways. And then on Tuesdays, we have investor meetings where we actually teach you how to invest, teach you how to buy shares, teach you how to tokenize your assets, and bring those things on board to where you can actually start to generate income, build wealth right through our application. So
I love that you're doing that because I'm very big on even teaching financial literacy to people because it's something that's not taught. And
Right.
to be able to teach people, it takes the fear away from it in the unknown, and then they can understand it from every step.
Every
so
step.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
and getting people involved from the base up, right? And I think that's an advantage of this too, is a lot of people don't know that the best way to affect change is to start on a community level. And even when you think about like the socioeconomic aspect of change,
Yeah.
to where you affect change on a global level, it has to start on the community level. And I think that's the basis for this application. Even when you think about smart contracts and making processes seamless, you can't have a smart city without smart processes. That's the start of it, right? To where if we can educate even the government on that aspect of saying, all right, that is needed for you to advance your city. It's needed for you to add additional advanced technology. And blockchain is the gateway drug, if you will, right, to every aspect of what future cities, future citizens need to have ownership stake in what the city's doing, what the community is doing, and have a real voice that's actually heard. And I think that's where we are, and it's an amazing place to be.
No, absolutely. Thank you again for joining us
Yeah,
today,
thank you for
and
having me.
we'll definitely keep in touch and reach out and get you more interviews and write an article about what you're building.
Yeah, and I appreciate
I want to
that.
get the
Appreciate
book
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, wherever books are sold, I don't have any on me, but
That's okay. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. That's
But I
awesome.
What
appreciate
about the autographs? See, books, and then you could have autographed books.
Yeah, I've autographed a few, but I don't. Back in the day when I first released the book, I did, but now I just bring it with me when I do speaking engagements. So I've been speaking at events the last 6-7 months. I was on the news literally last night talking about this in terms of Detroit, because they literally just announced this last night
Oh,
where they're
wow.
accepting crypto. 'Cause I'm sure you haven't probably heard it.
I haven't
No,
heard it.
I
So what are
haven't
they
heard it
accepting
yet.
crypto for? So they're
So property taxes and other tax
What?
fees and stuff. Yeah, so it plays directly into what we're doing as
that's
well.
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
I
It's
did not know that. That's
Is
awesome.
it, and that's the exciting thing about it, because it's the first step. It's the first step to introducing cryptocurrency, but it's the first step of introducing real world assets too.
For
Wow.
property taxes.
But that's smart. I mean, they think about that, and if they invest in it, it can turn out to be even more. And I just don't see why it hasn't been as adopted as you would think it would have been by now.
Yeah,
But that's amazing for Detroit to be doing that. I had no idea.
yeah. And it's crazy how they even got the ideas, because Mike Dugan had a charter meeting, and I was just bold enough to get up and go. One day I saw the invite, and I hopped out of bed. I was like, man, let me go to this event and ask him some questions to his face about cryptocurrency and his thoughts on it. And I kind of put him on the spot, honestly, because he was in front of everybody. He didn't know what it was, but he gave me the opportunity to educate him and his team on what it was. And literally a month or two later, they announced that they were doing it completely.
Oh, wow.
I saw him and his team about 4 or 5 times between the time that we talked. They came yesterday and sat down with me, and then next thing I know, I'm on the news talking about it, right?
That is amazing.
Hey, Daniel East really gave me the idea for this, and he credits me for actually giving him the idea to go through with it, which is kind of mind blowing in itself too.
That's
You know,
awesome.
so.
How long have you been involved in crypto?
Since about 2015, when I worked for Intuit, the financial technology company that owns like TurboTax, the Cert, QuickBooks, all of that, right? I was working with a guy that was really big into crypto, and crypto was only at like less than $100 at the time, something like that. I'm not
Oh, why didn't we invest
sure.
that?
It was so small back then, and
It was pennies. Do you guys remember when it was?
pennies, yeah. And even when I talked to him, I didn't believe him either. And everybody's first introduction is to disbelieve, right? And
That's what happened with
That's
me too.
me
I was like,
too.
he's like, here, give me $100 and I'm gonna invest this. And I was a banker, so I was just like, no, I'm never gonna see the $100 again. Like, what are you talking about? Had I just invested at that time, I mean, wow.
I
Yeah.
remember when it first came out and it was huge, and how people were saying, "Oh, this is fake
And it
internet
seems
money."
shady how you had
Yes,
to do it.
no,
It's
and
like, oh, I can get
I
it for you.
wanted to go and buy some, just to play money, and somebody told me, really talked me out of it. And I'm the type of person that I don't listen. I always go the opposite way.
Yeah.
And now I tell myself, why did I listen this one time? That was like the one time I did listen, and now I'm just like,
Well, that's the way it was with Doge. With me, that's what brought me into the crypto market. And everyone that tried to explain it to me, they're like, just don't let it be Doge. Don't let it be Doge the first one you buy. You need to buy Bitcoin. What did I buy? Doge. That's what I bought. And then that's when it did the run up on SNL. I mean, it was huge. But I'm still holding it. That's like my OG. I gotta hang on to Doge.
I'm still holding the doggy.
for my favorite cryptocurrency, I think is going to be XRP, and I think it's because it was one of the original currency that was so pronounced that they locked it up for years. Do y'all know about XRP?
He's very invested in XRP.
I think that was curious. Like that's a really curious thing, because a lot of people, a lot of cryptocurrencies never had that happen to them, to where there's so many big applications to and utilities of XRP, to where it's one of those things where people undervalue it. People are not seeing the value in it yet because they think it's negative because the SEC got involved and all that stuff. But I think the underdog is going to be XRP, where people think that Bitcoin is doing all this, but Bitcoin is simply like the controller of the stock market, the standard for everything almost, right?
Yep.
But XRP is going to be the most real world applicable currency. And I think that's what we're waiting to see.
He's
I think
loving
it's going
that
to.
right now.
And I love it
Because
too.
you know what? He was
I
talking
think
about it on the way up here. He's
Really?
like XRP, and he goes, "I think I should get more."
Yeah.
But you've been invested in XRP for a really long time.
Yeah, probably maybe 2014, 2015.
Okay, man.
Yeah, see, he's been in it for a minute. Yeah,
So
he was in it way before me.
So you got when it went up and everything too for that moment. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
In Bitcoin today is at 77,000.
Yeah. It's chugging, isn't it? And you know, people who don't understand stock think that cryptocurrency is so foreign, and it's like, man, it's almost exactly like stock if you
Same.
know how to pay attention to historical data.
And it's more fun than stock.
It's more fun than stock. And then if anybody really pays attention the last 10 years, there's always a point in time that the run happens.
Yeah.
And if you really pay close attention, you know exactly when that is. That's, yeah.
It's happening.
But it's happening, and it happens around this time almost every year between October to February, March.
We're here for it.
Right?
Yep.
And
We'll
I think
watch it.
there's some good things happening to where going to 74 after the election is wild. It's a mind-blowing thing, right?
Yeah, now
To where-
it's pushing through.
It's going to push through to where at the end of this year, end of next year around this time, I could see it being
So do you guys-
exponentially bigger.
Do you guys think it did the opposite? Because, so I was reading some comments, and some of the sentiment was that, during the election or after the election, it didn't matter who would win, that it would go back down, but it completely did the opposite. So, I mean, what was your guys' thought process, or did you guys see any of that? Did you guys feel like that was the sentiment?
I didn't think it was the sentiment. I always thought it was going to go up based on historical data. I didn't think it had anything to do with the election, honestly.
Yeah.
I think genuinely based on historical data, based on literally looking at the charts and saying the last 5 years, the last 3 months, the last 2 months, if you can pay attention to those things, I believe that this period would have happened regardless, whether Kamala won or Trump won, which he did, right? I think it would have done this regardless. And I think it's just the time for it.
Yeah.
And because people are finding out more about it, right, all it's going to do is push it further, right? The more people that are added to this community, all of those currencies will eventually be some type of useful currency to someone in some type of way, shape, or form because of the time period that we're in.
Right.
People have to start adopting new ways of financial systems. And because that is a known thing, right, cryptocurrency hedges against inflation. That's a huge thing right now. People don't know that
Right.
and know the real world applications of that in itself is saying you need something that hedges against that.
Right.
And cryptocurrency does that on a very high level to where teaching people about cryptocurrency is the biggest thing that will happen in the next 5 years. Then when it's actually adopted, you're going to see like a mass influx of jobs created from this too. And I think that's the thing that we're looking for: workforce management, workforce development. I think there's so many different things that connect to this, and you're going to see it happen. And it's going to happen before our eyes, where we just like not having phones in your hand at one point, right? Or they were landlines, right? The color TV. We're going through a renaissance right now to where by 2030 it's going to be night and day. And that's what I truly believe, right?
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
So when you're super famous, will you remember us?
And
Will you sign our book then that we're going to go out and get?
I want to sign your book regardless, right? And then I don't think about being famous from this. I think about making more impact, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not about that, because when you think about a community like this, everybody should get a piece, right? And I think that's what we're trying to teach people is like, hey, your finances are yours. You're the commodity in the future, technically, right? And you have to think of yourself that way because you have the opportunity to gain wealth by you being involved, right? By being involved. That's it.
We're part of it. We're part of the movement. And I think that that's just awesome, just to teach people and, remember when it was like this and when it gets to the point where then we're on to something else. But, at least we had a piece of this at one time.
We're part of history.
Part of history.
We are.
History
All
in the
of us.
making.
History in the making.
People thought we were all crazy, but that's all right. That's all right.
It's just like when the internet first came out too. People thought,
Oh, they did, in
That's
emails
crazy,
and
yeah.
texts. And I mean,
And then chat, AOL, remember dial up.
Mhm.
We had a Commodore computer. That's how old I am. Yeah, that's
Commodore
pretty bad. Yeah. What was that game? Oh shoot,
Don't
with the
say
wagon.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought you.
Oregon
Oregon
Trail.
Trail.
Oregon Trail.
That was the game. Hold on, that was hype.
Wait, you guys know about
Stop.
that?
Hey, that was one of my
Oregon Trail.
favorite games.
That's right.
Stop.
And then
Hey,
you, Oregon Trail was good.
that was one of my favorite games.
All I could see was the little wagon, you know.
Mhm. Take it across the bottom of the screen.
I still have fun with it. Like, I'm like, oh,
And they came out with a new version.
I'm making it all the way to Oregon. For sure.
Exactly. It's happening. It's happening. I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
We're that old. Yikes. But hey, it's all good.
We just told the whole world how old we are.
I'm okay with it. I'm owning it.
Hey, I'm on it too. I'm
It's all
Oregon
good.
Trailed up. That was a very great time in history when that was on the computer, right?
I'm telling you.
We were living it up.
We were
That's
living
when
our best
everything was
lives.
simple.
That's right. If we could only go back to that sometimes. Oh my God.
That's when the kids still went outside and played.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Where you got on Oregon Trail and you still went out and
You
threw
still
the
could.
football around or something like that.
That's
If you
what
died on
people-
Oregon Trail, then you're like, okay, we'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me
I got
play
this
some
far, I
football.
got
Got off
Yeah.
it too. It's not like you made it. I never made it to Oregon.
I know, right?
I never made it.
I don't know if anybody ever did. I love it.
That game was rigged. It rugged you guys.
It did. We were being rugged at that time. We didn't even know it.
Didn't know it.
Hey.
I was like, I did everything. I was like, I had the medical kits. I had everything. I felt like I was like, I was saving my money.
That's right, right? You still didn't make
I can't die
it.
this time.
I know.
40.
It's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Feel safe. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you brought up XRP too, because that is something that, you know, hey, everything happens for a reason. I
All the
always say that.
technology, the young minds, you're brilliant.
I
Mhm.
appreciate that, brother.
Keep chasing it. Keep going after it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep chasing it. I feel like I'm being so purposeful in this, right? And I
That's
think
awesome.
this is attached to a purpose, right? To where I'm not truly even, and a lot of people won't ever say this because I'm worried about making money, but I think the biggest thing is also understanding impact. In order for this to actually work, it has to be impact focused, right?
Mhm.
And I could talk about the great things about XRP. I could talk about the great things about cryptocurrency, but the technology itself is supposed to make an impact.
Mhm.
And the companies that keep impact first when they're building these applications are going to be the ones that in the future are making the most money, right? And it's not about that now. It's about teaching, making impact, focusing on impact, and everything else will come during time because people are going to understand. It's going to be adopted. And it's just you being able to, even when you think about being in cryptocurrency, it's a lot of patience.
It is
Oh,
It's like, man, it's going up and
so
down.
much
It's
patience.
it's patience, right? It's understanding that I can't get scared and get out of it
no, you can't.
because it takes time to be great. It takes time to be adopted, right? And this is a great technology.
We're only in the beginning.
Only
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm here for it.
it's
And I'm
exciting
very
times.
patient. And I'm
So
very patient.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And with that being said, we are at top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and wrap up with Tammy and our special guest to end this segment for today. You guys wanna any last parting words?
Embrace technology, right?
Yes, please.
Don't run away from it. Embrace technology as much as you can because AI, VR, cybersecurity, blockchain technology, they all converge at the top. And if you're learning that now, you'll be years ahead, right? And that's what you need to do.
Follow us on 40 Acres app on
That's-
Instagram.
The book.
And the
Get
book.
the book.
And my book that is here. If you can see it, but maybe not. But yeah.
We can see it.
But thank you so much, Daniel. And Tammy, thank you so much for coming through and spending this day live and in person with me.
Yes, it's been my pleasure.
Any parting words for our audience, Tammy?
No, just like he said, embrace it. And I feel that even me and my background coming into this, I thought it's something that I could never do or never accept. And now it is the new way. So for me, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of the journey. So great conference. I'm happy it's here. I'm happy it's close enough within driving distance for us and happy to meet Leslie in person for the
So
first
that
time.
was my special person that I posted on X app this morning. It was Tammy. So Don't get discouraged out there. It was my awesome, beautiful Tammy. Dave, thank you so much for joining us as
Absolutely.
well
Thank
and
you.
bringing
Even though
Tammy,
he's a little shy. He didn't want to be
the
on camera.
CFO of the company back here. Everybody, we have a whole big audience that you guys can't see.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you again, and we will see you on the Gokhshtein Network.
Peace.